Hi guys, hope you're all well. Sunday blessings to you. So as ever, I'm just coming on to do the Tarot and Oracle Sunday review for you all. So see what deck I'm going to be presenting today. So I'm really excited to sort of share this deck with you. This is a new deck that I've acquired. It's one that I got for Christmas, and it is Tarot of Famous Witches. And this is a deck that has been created by Rachel Ford. Now, this deck is a self-produced deck, so I want to just sort of show you the back of this there. Now, this deck, as you can see, it's reasonably small, and this is because this is like one of those decks where it just focuses on the 22 major arcana. So it just says here, 22 cards of the major arcana represented by famous witches from history and fiction. Okay, so really sort of excited to share this with you. Something a little bit unusual, something a little bit different. I came across this deck on Etsy. I get a lot of my decks, my more unusual, quirky ones, from Etsy. And I just saw this and I thought, oh my god, I really want to have this because it just looks really cool, being as I am a witch. So let's explore it, let's go through it really, and I'll sort of share it with you guys. Now, the only thing I don't like instantly with this, I love all the imagery. I have to say the imagery, so Rachel Ford is an artist based in Bristol, and I have to say that the imagery is amazing. It's beautiful imagery. What I don't like with this, I don't like the box. So tuck boxes, as these are known, I personally, this is a personal thing, some of you might love them. For me, I don't like them because this is a brand new deck. I've not even worked with it really yet. But if you can see that on the edge there, it's already started to fray, it's already started to open a little bit, and here it's all coming apart a little bit. They don't sort of do very well if they're handled too much. So this is a deck that the box side of it I'm going to be very gentle, very delicate with. So lose a mark for that, you know. But the cards themselves are lovely, okay, and I love some, you know, certain cards, they just smell, they have like a smell. These, where they're printed, they've got quite a nice smell. Now the cards themselves, what I do love is Rachel's put all the money into the cards themselves, and I always think that's how it should be done, because you get bonus marks for me if cards are nice, sort of rigid and thick. And the stock quality to these cards are, as you can see there, they're really rigid, they're really decent. They are like a glossy sort of finish, but they're nice. But within some of these cards, they've got like sort of, it is like a type of silver sort of, or like a type of metallic energy as well. So I love that. So we'll look at those in a bit more detail shortly. So yeah, as we go into the back of the cards, you get this sort of detail. The colours are all sort of black, purple with silver. So I like these. I think they're really cool. So as we look at the cards themselves, now being there's only 22, I'm going to show you all of them. So there will be some witches that you're familiar with here, and there may be some other witches you're not as familiar with. So as we go into the Fool, we go into, what I like is they say the traditions of like the normal tarot, so 0 at the top, the Fool at the bottom, but then they say who the witch is. So we've got Gerald Gardner as the Fool here. So obviously some of you will be very familiar with him. He actually was the one that created the birth of Wicca, and he was a large part of the sort of Wicca movement really. Okay, then we're going into the Magician, and we're going into Adria. I hope I'm saying some of these names right. Okay, so as you can see, beautiful detail on the artwork. So this is one where there's a lot of metallic energy in the sort of moon behind there. If you can see that too well, it might not show up too great on this video. I'm trying to get it to sort of shine, but it's probably not going to happen. And then we're going into Anne Boleyn, the High Priestess. So this is a powerful deck, guys, just to have the visions and the images, you know. It's beautiful. Then we're going into Stevie Nicks, the Empress. I love the fact that we've got the sort of musician energy there as well. And then we've got Laurie Cabot, the Emperor. It's a beautiful, beautiful set of cards here. And then we've got Marie Lavieux, I think that is. I'm not sure if I've said that right. Apologies if that's wrong. And I love the sort of skulls there with the sort of candles coming up the top. Really powerful. And then for all you Buffy fans out there, we've got Willow and Tara, the lovers, from Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. This is probably my favourite card, just because it's probably one of my favourite witches. So we have Elphaba from The Wizard of Oz, the Chariot. So she probably is definitely my favourite, just because I just love her energy, you know. Then we've got Joan of Arc for the card of Strength. So as you can see, this artwork is very, very powerful. It's very, very magical, very sort of visual. Then we've got Drusilla for the Hermit. And again, this is one from Buffy. And then we've got Matilda for the Wheel of Fortune. So these are really, really quirky. These are really unusual, beautiful artwork. Then we have Elaine for Justice. That one, hopefully you can see sort of shimmering a little bit more. And then we have got Elizabeth Bathory for the Hanged Man, or the Hanged Woman it says here actually. And then we have Thomasin as Death. And then we have Baba Yaga as Temperance. So obviously in folklore, a lot of you will know and be familiar with her. I'm probably pronouncing some of these wrong, so I do apologise. And then we've got Madame Satan as the Devil. And I think this is from the remakes of Sabrina. And then we have Three Witches for the Tower. And then we have Florence for the Star, as in Florence from the Florence and the Nightingales. And then we have Hecate with the moon. And then we have Parmalee Coleman Smith. So she's the actual designer of the original Rider-Waite sort of tarot for the sun. And then we have Nancy Downs as Judgment from the Craft film. And finally we have Kiki the World. So that's the deck in its entirety, guys. So really, really interesting, really, really cool. Like I say, beautiful, beautiful cards. The cards on their own, easily a 10 out of 10. I love them. I really wish they had gone on to do the full sort of suits and everything, but completely understand, because there's so much detail in these. I get why they have just kept it to this, and also because it's self-produced, sometimes it can be quite costly doing the whole deck. So this is pretty cool. I love, love, love these. Now what I will say, this is only my personal opinion, but this is a thing that I didn't like particularly. So the deck costs about 25 quid on its own merit. Okay, which I think is a reasonable price. I think that's quite good, considering they are sort of bespoke and unusual. You have to buy the instruction book separately, and that is an additional £10 with the postage. Now, it is a nice book, but I don't think, for what's in it, it justifies the price tag. I would have preferred if the artist had done maybe a combination price for 30 quid, even 35 quid. I think if it was all put together and it was just one price for the whole lot, you would feel more comfortable spending the money. That's one criticism I was a little bit upset about when I got this deck, and when I saw the book, and I was a bit like, oh, okay. I think it's important to have the book with it because it completes the cards, but yeah, that was a little bit of a no-no for me. So definitely feel losing a few points there. So as this deck as a collective with that principle in mind, I think it's down to more of an 8. Even though it's great that they've got all the sort of, you know, different characters in there. Another thing that I was a little bit annoyed about, this deck really celebrates a lot the femininity of witchcraft, which is fantastic, brilliant. I love that side of things. But it would have been nice to have had a few more cards that were masculine, because obviously there are a lot of male witches, famous male witches as well, and there was only the one that they touched on and mentioned. So I was a little bit like, okay. Now, as we open up this book here, it has at the start like sort of an indication of what witch is, and it just says, I don't know if you can see that there, okay, and it just says here, so witch, a practitioner of magic, a woman thought to have magic powers, especially evil ones, popularly dictated as wearing a black cloak and pointed hat and flying on a broomstick. 3, a bitch. And then it's got verb, cast an evil spell on. And then it just says here, sorceress, enchantress, occultist, Wiccan, rare hex, and various other bits and pieces. Now, whilst that's nice and everything, and I like the sort of playing around with the ideas of stuff, that's one thing that does bother me a little bit, because this is where we get misconception, because a witch, in my opinion, and throughout history, is gender neutral. So the fact there's a lot of focus there on the feminine aspects of witchcraft, which obviously is important and to be accepted and embraced, I don't know, I was just a little bit like, okay. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of both. That's just a personal thing. For some people, we're probably not bothered by that. For me, I was just a bit like, oh, okay. The other thing I think that lets it down slightly, so beautiful how it's all laid out. This is amazing, beautiful clear images and everything else. But what I think does lack a little bit, what you have is you have an upright meaning, a reverse meaning, and then a little bit of history on the card and the person in general. But in some cases, there's very little information about actually the character themselves. I would have loved a little bit more history. Maybe I'm being a little bit too particular, but personally I would love a little bit more history on each of the actual characters themselves. So yeah, slightly let down with that, you know, because again, they could have put so much more in there, and there's some like pieces where you don't really get very much about the person at all, and it's a bit like, oh, okay, so I don't really know. I'd have to go and do my own research if there were sort of people I wasn't 100% familiar with. So that lets it down as well a little bit, you know. So it is a beautiful deck, it is lovely. It's not a 10 in completion, because I think there are some pitfalls in it in terms of certainly the book. So I would say it's probably an 8, you know, but visually the cards on their own merit, easily a 10. So what we'll do, I'm gonna, like always, I will pick a card for this Sunday and for the week ahead, see what we need to know about, see what guidance there is to be had. And because there aren't many cards, because there's only 22, you know, when you sort of shuffle them, it's very hard to actually, they do feel lovely in the hand because they're thick, but you know, they're not like whizzing out like when you get a sort of a really big deck, you know. So the card that's come up for us is Matilda, and she's representing the Wheel of Fortune. So this is our message. So what I'll do is I'll look at the message in the book, see what we sort of have book-wise with this one. So let me just find where she is. She's at the bottom here. Okay. So it just says here then, so if this is upright, plan set in motion, change, opportunity, and chance. So it's all kind of like key points here. And then reversed, so for those of you that read tarot reversed, obviously that card didn't come out reversed, So take the positives of that message, but that's literally what they've said about it in a nutshell. So it's quite basic. This is a deck that makes you work with your own intuition quite a bit. If it was to come up reversed, upside down, for those of you that choose to read tarot that way, it would indicate mishap, unforeseen setback, bad luck, misfortune, or some level of disappointment. Okay, but obviously we didn't read it that way, so take it as plan set in motion, change, opportunity, and chance. So that's what they've put in a nutshell for that card. And then it just says history, and there's a very, very small piece of history for this particular card, I will say. A common aspect to interpretations of this card is an introduction of change in life, the knowledge that nothing will stay the same forever. There might not be much control over the change. So there's actually nothing on this character Matilda, which is obviously from the Roald Dahl Matilda. You know, there's nothing really there. So that was a little bit disappointing. I would have liked to have sort of, you know, got a little bit more, or maybe just a bit of the artist's interpretation as to why she felt guided to use this particular character for this particular card. There's very little of the actual artist's energy in this book. There's nothing. Obviously there's the beauty of the cards and everything, but there's nothing about, you know, it would have been nice to have an introduction page to Rachel herself, who she is, how she's evolved. There's nothing like that. And again, they're quite basic meaning. So for this being sort of like, I think it's like £7, but then by the time you have the postage, it's pretty much 10 quid. It's quite a lot on top of like an already sort of reasonably, you know, priced deck anyway, because the cards are 25 quid and you're not getting the full suit. You're only getting 22 of those cards. So, you know, interesting. Take it for what it is. Hopefully that message makes sense for you guys. But yeah, I don't know, mixed emotions about it. I do love the cards, like I say, they're amazing. It would be nice if maybe she goes on to sort of do the suits. She might add to those, and even if that was something you could maybe buy additionally or extra, I think that would be really cool. But overall, like I say, it's a beautiful deck. It's not my favourite, but it is a beautiful deck. So this is the Tarot of Famous Witches by Rachel Ford. Check it out. You know, definitely one for the collection. If you're a sort of witch and you're looking for something a bit unusual, a bit quirky, not everybody has this deck, so this is definitely one to check out. I will include the Rachel's website. Well, actually, it's on the back here. So it just says here, rachelford.co.uk. So that's how you can sort of find her and see her work. And these are available to purchase on Etsy. So I'm going to leave the energy of this with you. Have a fantastic Sunday, guys. Take care, much love, and more reviews coming soon. Bye for now.